It is May 4th, 2018. We're here at 1275 Bosworth Street in El Cajon, California, 92019. We're going to inspect the main sewer line as well as the kitchen and laundry drain lines. We're here on the rooftop. We're going to go down the 3-inch original cast iron vent for the one bathroom. It will lead into the beginning of the sewer main. A lot of little cobwebs here. Let's see if we have to clean any of that off before we go down the line. Here's our transition. We're now inside the horizontal main sewer line running out. Back up here just a little bit. So that looks like a T-junction right there on the left-hand side, that curvature with kind of like the ramp. It looks like the fitting that should be picking up the laundry and kitchen drain line. Should be a single 2-inch drain pipe coming across and emptying into this part of the system. We're going to now push back down this main. The house is vacant. However, when we arrived, we did run a little bit of water down the sink and tub and flush the toilet once, just to put some water down the pipe to make sure that if there was any sags or bellies in the line, which are areas that hold water and don't drain out because of improper slope, put some water in the system by doing that. But everything right here looks really good so far in the system. It's the original cast iron main, but we have very little deposits or scale buildup on the walls of the pipe. Just a little bit on the bottom, but it's negligible. Okay, here we have a clean out access, it looks like, that was probably put in. We're about 36 feet out from here, so we're about 18 feet across, so we're getting close to the very front yard, so there could be a clean out there. We're going to continue down the line, and we'll double check that that's been brought to surface and exposed. Here's another access point right here. This might be the original clean out, which would be what we call the two-way clean out when the house was built. You can see another opening junction right there. So we'll see if any of these are all brought to surface or not. Continue down the line. So we can see a little bit of deposits and buildup on the bottom of the pipe. It's somewhat flat, and we've got a little bit of undulations there for some buildup, but nothing severe right now. See a little mound there. Hiccuping through the camera, just try to push through that debris. So here's a little bit of another mound. So again, the only time this is a problem is if, this can hold up some feces and toilet paper if it doesn't drain down the system. But depending on how long it's been vacant, we're not finding any debris. And these little pockets are after the rest of where everything else ties into. So even though the toilets are all very low flow nowadays, all the other water that gets put down the system will help flush that out. Now here we're at the original property line clean out. So you can see this is where the horizontal pipe comes to a T-junction, and it's making a full 90-degree turn. So we're going to see if this camera that we have right here is able to make this turn. Sometimes, because it's a very hard 90, we have to use a different camera or a specialty camera to try to get by this. We've made that initial turn, and it looks like it comes to another corrected 90 very quickly. So it's a short vertical run and then turns into another 90. So this is a very stiff push rod on this camera. So we're going to go ahead and just pull back up here slowly, and we'll try with a different camera. We don't want to try to force this one because we know it's not going to make those two sharp 90s in a row. So we're going to pause the video and check the front yard to see if any of this property line clean out or any other two we passed earlier on are exposed and surfaced. If not, we'll mark them. Okay, so we've gone ahead and located this property line clean out right here with these two hard 90s in a row, and this is at about 3 feet 4 inches deep, so it's about 40 inches deep. and it's about 3 to 4 feet just in front of the retaining wall before you get to the sidewalk. We have it marked with a little white peg where we denoted PLCO at 40 inches, which again is the property line clean out abbreviation. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and back up our cable again, because as we walked across the property, across the grass and then the front rock bed that's in the front of the property, we did not see any clean out covers at all exposed on the property. So we're going to go ahead and see if the clean outs are just under the surface or not. Again, some heavy deposits right here as we go across the line. Those really can be hydrojetted out if they got problematic in the future, but to do that, they typically prefer to be able to put a clean out in at the property line and put their cable in reverse to drag that heavy debris to get it out. Again, doesn't look like it probably needs it right now, but here's another clean out right there. T-junction we can see appears to be, and then as we back up you can see there's the other little opening, and then here's the ABS one that was put in. So somebody dug down and actually cut into the line to put this one. So we can see our T-junction right there. It does not look like a repair. It does look like that's a T-junction sweeping up. We do have a small pen and tilt camera. We may try to get in there to look at it, but what we're going to do right here is locate this section of ABS on the front and see where this is at. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so we've located right where our camera head's at, which is kind of underneath what we think is that T-junction, and this is directly under the front bed of landscaping in the front yard under its little retaining wall with some bricks on top. So this must have been repaired, and then that other landscaping was done afterward, or they dug down and undermined and went below that if it's always been there and was just freshly repainted and new brick. So from the top of the wall, minus that where we're at, the pipe seems to be about 2 feet 2 inches deep approximately. So you can see it carries just a couple more inches, and then we're into what appears to be the original clean out right there, and the other clean out right here right after that. So we're going to go ahead and put our camera right here in between. We're going to go locate this on the property and just mark it with a flag. Okay, so without disturbing the ground, which we can't do at this time because we're just here on behalf of the buyer, we do not see any of these clean outs here exposed to surface, and it could be a few inches below the dirt, but the pipe itself to the bottom of the pipe is 2 feet 5 inches deep. It's 29 inches deep. We did a mark with a flag and note clean outs 29 inches at this area right here in between these two clean outs. So that could be dug up, expose those caps, cut them off, and bring them more to surface. We just don't know if you're going to have to dig 2 feet down or less if it was already brought up partially. So we're now going to go ahead and pause the video, and before we use another camera to try to get past the property line area under the sidewalk and street to see that part of the line, we're going to go ahead and put some small cameras down the kitchen and laundry. Okay, we're here just above the small garage area. There's the water heater vent. Here's the laundry vent stack. We're going to go ahead, and we've got a very small camera to try to go through this because we don't know what we're going to encounter in the original 2-inch cast iron. This is not a self-leveling camera because it's very small. So looks like that might be the T-junction right there where the trap arm from inside leads to to dump into the wall here, the pipe in the wall that we're coming down. And then here's our turn on the line. And then it looks like we are ready here. This should be our T-junction already that we're looking at right here, where the kitchen ties into this line because they're very close to each other, so they should Y or T together and then they become one pipe and then run towards the bathroom. So we'll keep trying to push this camera down as far as we can go before we try another one. We may be able to get the whole way, it just depends. Looks like that's just a hub right there from two pieces of pipe coming together. A little bit of buildup in there, dried up food and debris. And let's see, it looks like we're in some newer pipe here. So it looks like this may have been possibly replaced part of it here. Now we got a little bit of debris or water kind of holding up our line here a little bit. So I'm not sure if we're just clogged up or if they've got a bad slope on the pipe or some heavy buildup. We're going to go ahead and pause the video and run some water down the kitchen drain to see if this can clear this out and move this particular camera further down the line. Okay, so we have water running. We don't have a change in the screen image, as you can see. You can see some water there as soon as we backed up, kind of moved through. So we're going to see. This camera is a very small push rod, and we're able to get the earlier part through, but this is just not moving through the line very well. So we're going to try another small camera with a little bit stiffer push rod, see if we can punch through to see if this is a buildup, stoppage, or a problem with the line. Now you can see right there the water is draining out, and it's not rising up. The image is kind of inverted because, again, this is not a self-leveling. So it looks like the drain is open and clear. We just may have that slope issue if the pipe was replaced, or just some heavy buildup. We're going to pause the video as we pull our line out here and try another camera. Okay, so same size camera head, very small, but a little bit stiffer push rod that we put on the end of this one. We'll see if we can make these turns and continue down the line further once we can get by these spots, hopefully. We'll see. These are the turns right here on the venting pipe that are a little bit of a concern for the camera to get by. There we go. Okay, so you can see coming up, here's where our kitchen is, again, emptying into the line. Looks like this is the newer pipe here. Looks like we're getting out further than the other one, so you can definitely see we're able to travel down this one here. We're going to leave the water running, and then we'll shut it off and pull the camera back. But we're going to try to keep going as far as we can, and hopefully get this into the main itself, or very close to where it dumps into there, and then we'll pull backwards to see. Okay, we are in the main. We finally pushed it actually a little bit even too far, but we're going to go ahead and pause the video and shut the water down. Okay, so we shut the water off. Now we're probably going to get a lot of residuals still kind of draining down the system for a minute or so. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull back to the opening. We're going to take the other camera and actually go back and look at the kitchen line if we can get across that to where it junctions into the laundry. So we're in the main sewer pipe. So again, that other push rod was the camera we left in there, which we wanted to leave to show. So this is the opening right here. So this is the end of the kitchen laundry 2-inch drain line. That's where it connects into the main. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so there's the camera that we just left inside the line, and we're going to pull back now that the water's off. But we moved the first camera we started with for the laundry over to the kitchen. So this is the kitchen vent. We'll see if we're able to get through any turns here and down this line. It's because, yeah, this has a couple turns on the system to get through the vent into the drain. Looks like we were able to get across there. We're just going to keep pushing. We may run water if we need to clean up the image here in a minute, but first we're going to keep getting down the system as far as we can go. Okay, there we go. We just got through. So there's the push rod from the laundry. So this is, again, where the two tee together. So As we back up, this is all original 2-inch cast iron drain line. It is nice and open, as you can see right there. So this is the horizontal pipe under the slab. And we just are now making the turn up. And there's where the drain right there comes in from the trap arm, and now we're in the dry vent right here, so now we're coming back up and out. So we don't have any problems with just the kitchen line itself, because the kitchen itself is a very short run, and then again it becomes shared with the laundry. So now I'm going to go ahead and pause and pull back the laundry drain. Okay, so here again, we're right at the end of the laundry / kitchen where there's one pipe. It's right where it dumps into the main sewer. So if we see any water in the pipe right now, that's going to be due to either some heavy buildup that's acting like a dam holding a pocket of water in place, or it's going to be due to some uphill slope that's in the line, either from a repair or from just when it was originally installed, just not with great downhill slope. So you can see there's expected some buildup in the line, but nothing too severe. The line is draining and open. So this is all original 2-inch cast iron. Okay, now we're changing right here. We've got this little belly to the line, and you can see the black. So my guess is that this was a repair to the line. This does not look like any type of spray liner they could have put in there. Somebody dug down and had to dig up this part of the pipe for some reason. So this doesn't have a counter on it because it's a specialty camera. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and try to mark this with some little piece on our vent, and as we pull back the pipe, we'll see exactly how long this area is that we are dealing with here. So we can see that that's the little area that's got water. So you can see that for some reason when they put the pipe in, possibly when they backfilled and put the dirt and sand back over the pipe or tampered it, they pushed the pipe down possibly. So you've got this area where it's holding all this water. Everything's draining out eventually, but there's like a hiccup. So even as I pull right here, it's kind of stiff through the line. So you can see I was able to get through, but what happens is, and it's kind of hard to see as I bounce, there you go, all the fat and grease and food and debris builds up in this valley, or what we call a sag or a belly to the line, because it can't overcome the weight of the material, and because it has to go uphill, collects and builds up in the line. So essentially what will have to be done over time, and you can see it is draining right now, but it is really thick. This will need to be jetted out. So they'll need to do a hydro jetting to rip and clear all this out. The high pressure water nozzle we'll remove this, and then because it's being inundated with water, we'll flush it down the line. Regular snaking won't really work that well with this type of buildup, with this problem. So as we come back right here, again, you can see we're losing all that debris that's there, but can't really tell if this is still the cast iron or not, or back to the cast iron. But the line is open here, so because of the bad viewing, it's hard to see how much of that pipe might have been changed out. So it's a small issue, but it's going to lead to possible buildup where the kitchen clogs, or the laundry has a lot of suds and backs up on itself there. They did have an incorrect standpipe in the laundry. The recommendation with this line being the way it's at with that one pocket, it would be really good if you could fit in a laundry tub to have it drain into the laundry tub, and have the laundry tub then drain out over across to where it goes into the wall. That would be better. It would also protect so if the line clogs up, it would collect and be held into there, not overflow out of the top of the pipe. So we're almost to the beginning of the laundry drain already, so now we're coming back up the vent line. So the line is intact. It doesn't really need a repair, but it's going to require some maintenance in the future of, again, occasionally jetting out that line when it gets a lot of food or grease or fat built up in that part of the system. It'll have to be slightly maintained. So we're now going to go ahead and pause the video and move back over to the main sewer and try with another specialty camera from the rooftop, since we don't have any clean outs on the front lawn to get out past the property line clean out. Okay, so we've already pushed our camera all the way down the line as far as we can go. We just shut the water off in the house. We have a specialty camera that actually combines two push rods together that we made. The very slinky push rod in the front is about 25 feet long, and then it backs up and connects into a very stiff push rod. So that allowed us to get by those two quick 90s, but again, we can only get out 25 feet in total. So we're at the stopping point right here. So you can see we're just under about 80 feet out approximately. So we're just short of where this house's line ties into the city. And so now that the water is finally slowing down, we're going to go ahead and pull back and show what we passed up here. So this is clay pipe. So you can see a couple little really tiny roots on the upper left there growing in at that hub. Now our distance counter is not moving backwards right now because we're just pulling the push rod out and let it rest on the rooftop. We're not putting it back into the drum because of this special cable we're using. That hub is overall pretty clean there. The clay pipe is only a maximum of 4 feet long per section, so the hubs are every 4 feet. There's another one there. So we'll make sure that those are clear. Okay, so there you can see we have some roots growing in this one. They're very small right now, don't need to be snaked or jetted, but we do have roots intruding on this one. So this might be where they occasionally have to snake or jet out the line. Now again, without those cleanouts exposed, it's going to have to be done from the rooftop. Here's some more roots right here. Okay, here we go. So these are still pretty small and fine, nothing that's going to cause a blockage yet. But they do have these roots intruding in the system, so it is 100% our recommendation that those cleanouts in the front lawn need to be brought to surface. Again, we've got them marked with a white stake, and we'll bring our camera down off the rooftop and show it on the video itself in case they get lost. So those cleanouts, if the property line one is done in front of the retaining wall, in front about 3-4 feet in front of the sidewalk, that would allow a regular drain cable to be used rather than the more expensive hydrojetting. We have expansion cutters that can go on drain cables that can tear and rip out all the roots just as effectively as hydrojetting. So we're back to the cast iron pipe right here. You can see a little bit of swelling on the right hand side of the line there. So just some corrosion of the line essentially. So this cast iron horizontal line here really soon is going to transition back up that 90. Okay, here we go. So here's that 90 we were looking at in the bottom, and then here's the other 90, which is the santee right there. That's where we left off with the original camera. So this clean out that we're looking at right here, the first one we marked in front of the retaining wall, is the one that we recommend being dug up and brought to surface. That would be the most expedited way for either snake or a hydrojetting to clean these roots out and maintain them in the future. Additionally, there's a foaming chemical product that can be purchased at Lowe's or Home Depot or Amazon or Walmart.com called Robic Foaming Root Killer. It's about $19 a bottle, sometimes a little less online. That can be treated and done right from this clean out if it was brought to surface. Otherwise, it would have to be done from the toilet, which would require a lot more bottles and sometimes isn't as effective of a treatment when it's done from so far away by a homeowner. So we're just going to pull back on the line here just to show everything again. Coming up on those clean outs that are buried by the front area pretty soon. Okay, there's the other clean outs in the cast iron. There's the second one, and here's that ABS junction that was put in, and that again is under that front landscaping bed with the retaining wall, so also not accessible. So now coming back out of the line, a little bit of buildup. Now we're coming back up the vertical vent. And here we go. So we're back out here on the system. So we'll go ahead and pause the video and move our equipment down to the ground level to show the marking flags for the front yard. Okay, so we moved out to the front of the house. So you can see this retaining wall around this front little landscaped area. Looks like the brick and stucco is somewhat newer plaster, but don't know if it's always been here or not. But again, right underneath here is where that ABS was. And then right here, clean outs, 29 inches. That's just a little bit in front and a little bit behind it. That's where those two original cast iron ones we saw underground were as well. Then as we move across the front yard here, we'll move our camera over. Here is the clean out, property line clean out at 40 inches deep. So again, you can see right here. So we're about 4 feet in front of the wall and probably about 8 feet over from the walkway there. So again, this is the one we do recommend because this leads straight down into the 4-inch. That's the other thing we didn't mention before we pause the video. It does appear from our camera that the line headed back coming from the house appears to be 3-inch. So if you were to dig up those other cleanouts we just showed back there, the entry point would only be 3-inch, and that's a problem because then you can't put a larger spinning cutting head for hydrojetter or very large cutting heads at all for standard snaking to get these roots out. So this 4-inch entry point here will allow you for the most effective cleaning, both cost-wise and just in general. So this is why we do recommend this one is the one in the future at some point in time be brought to surface. It doesn't need to be done right away, but it will be at some point. We are going to go ahead and put a little bit of green spray paint on these two markings in case they do get lost as well. And that concludes this recording.